wonderful reading department. If you've got me on webcam, that means that there's a lot of information to share and a little bit of time to do it, and I might not get to see you face to face. So we're going to try a web meeting for us for right now. When we get back to school on Tuesday, hopefully you'll see this before then, but if not, it just means you're enjoying your weekend. If you're seeing this on a Monday night, it means you are like many, many other teachers and you are thinking about what's going to happen next. All right, let's get down to business. Do you remember those plans we made at our last PLC about how we were going to use the labs to do SRI and level set testing? Well, don't be concerned about those plans anymore. This year, we are going to be as accommodating as a 5-star concierge and as flexible as silly putty. Because what's going to happen for us now is the district benchmark tests will all be computer-based. So for the next 2 weeks, all students will take part in language arts, math, science, and social studies computer-based testing. Our own students will be taking part in either the SRI or level set testing. And this is happening across the district. It's not just us. We're all going to feel the crunch and the urgency right now. Keep in mind that some schools don't have our number of computers, nor do they have the quality of tech support that we have at Meadowbrook. We do have options at this time within this tight time frame. And we're going to support our content areas by using the computers in our own classrooms to have our students placed in the reading programs. And we're going to support our content areas by using the computers in our own classrooms to have our students placed in the reading programs. The alternative was to wait an additional 2 weeks before we could begin the program, and we knew that was not acceptable for us. And we're going to manage our classroom resources to get our students tested while continuing to establish those procedures and routines and rigor in our classrooms. You can now pause the video to consult your higher power or your therapist after hearing that message. All right, good to have you back. I do have some suggestions on how we can make this work. And it's going to take all of us helping one another to figure this out. Prepare your students for your specific test. Each program has its own test prep for students. Suggestions for the SRI, suggestions for the level set. There's a video specifically for the level set in the Achieve, and an SRI. I know there's a handout that can be used, and my Read 180 experts are going to have to remind me if there's a video for that as well. So prepare them, inform them that these test scores will be useful. It's going to provide a baseline. We're going to use the data to create the groups and make decisions about our small groups. Each student will provide you with a list of students and their login information. Read 180 folks, you should already have access to that through SAM. The Achieves people, this is new to you, and I believe I have sent that email to you already, but if not, I'll make sure you get a hard copy for that. You'll want the students to write their login information in their planners. You may want to provide a card that you keep within the classroom so that that information is accessible at all times. Here's how I suggest you group your students, because we are going to have to do a rotation to do the testing, is to pull a list of your students and their FCAT scores. I believe you can get this through IMS, and if you don't have access to that, please let me know and I can get it to you on an Excel sheet. Sort your students according to their DSS scores. Create your 3 to 4 groups, depending upon how many students and how many computers you have, according to their DSS scores. And I would suggest making your highest group your #1 group to go into the testing. And here's my reasoning. These are your highest performers, and they have a better chance of working through the SRI and level set independently, and while your lower performing students are with you in that larger group. Send your second highest group next, and then your lowest groups should be last. Once your higher performers have completed the test, they may be better able to do some of the independent work while you monitor the testing process on the computers and while working with the rest of the students. Remember the putty. My putty has gone away. Just remember the putty. We're going to be flexible and we're going to be everywhere. Single period classes will probably not have time to do a rotation. They'll just have students at the computers and students with the teachers during a class period. The computer testing for both groups may well take an entire period, if not more. Double classes, you may or may not be able to work in 2 rotations. You're going to have to use your best judgment to see how the students work and to see whether or not breaking up the test between 2 different classes, 2 different days is a good idea. Keep in mind that we will need to maintain as quiet and orderly a classroom environment as possible while we continue to offer worthwhile and rigorous experiences for our students. And I do have some suggestions for that. One of them is to hold data talks with our students. It is probably not a surprise to you to recognize that many of our students do not know their FCAT scores and they do not know their DSS scores, nor do they understand what they mean. A data talk can be done as a whole group and it can be done as a small group, and if you need some suggestions, I can help you with that. Another thing that you can be doing is to take the text from your program and conduct close reads. And the close read will involve things like text coding, looking for vocabulary, creating a graphic organizer, responding to the text, having a purpose for reading. If you need help figuring out or identifying good text for a close read, please just ask me or another coach and we'll be happy to help you. Another thing that we can be doing with our not so small large groups is independent reading and read aloud with reading logs. And I will post a sample of a weekly reading log. And each day's response is something a little bit different. I think it's very important for us to start to build the reading stamina. You may not have them read independently, but for 5 minutes to get us started. And after that 5 minutes, there's a place for them to respond on the reading log and also a place for them to indicate how they felt they did. Let them know these reading logs are subject to being pulled for grades. Please use these reading logs to help our students be accountable for the time that they have with independent reading. You can also use the reading log while you conduct a read aloud. Your one voice reading while the other students are testing should not be that much of a disruption to our test takers. We have ordered headphones, and if they come in on time, we'll make sure you have headphones so students can put those on and not be so distracted by classroom noises. Open and close sorts. We have all sorts of vocabularies that we can use. We have academic vocabulary, we have subject categories. Open and close sorts are very enriching. And if you need some suggestions for vocabulary words to work with, you can look in your program material. You can talk to a content area teacher because remember, we can support our content area people during this time as well. Crossword puzzles. Crossword puzzles related to content are better than those that are not. Be selective. Make sure there is a purpose for them. That also could be a way to teach students how to use a thesaurus and a dictionary. And in going through the campus this summer, I know we have boatloads of dictionaries, so I think we'll be okay there. Some other things our Achieve teachers know about this are poll questions. I'll provide a template for you for a before reading poll and an after reading poll. You ask the students a leading question, what's their opinion, do they agree, do they disagree? After reading a text, then they respond to the poll a second time and they see if reading the text has changed their thinking at all. It's a very good skill. As far as texts to use for some of these things, check your program materials. There are often stretch texts, there are often additional reads that are available. Another online source, which is terrific for these short little lessons that we'll be doing while we're doing the testing, would be Tween Tribune. It's very appropriate for middle schoolers and a wide range of topics. And they're short reads too, so you could conceivably do them in a period. All right, another fun thing, because remember we do want to keep this fun for them, would be some Mad Libs. I went online and got some Mad Libs that were okay for me to copy and reproduce for you. Those are great because they work with vocabulary, they work with kinds of words, and they're also pretty entertaining. And if we can have our children relaxed and feeling secure and at least have something good to look forward to, we know we'll get better test results from them. Another thing that I have, and resources that I have for you, is a Name the States bingo. And I went to an online build your own bingo set and pulled up where they had one already made with Name the State. So I combined them, then to make that more rigorous than just here's the name of the state, find it on the part. I went and found and got a map of the United States where the students needed to fill in the names of all 50 states. And the page, it's on a single page. So one part of the page is the empty names for the states, and then the other half, which you would cut before you gave it to the students, are the answers. So not only would you be playing a great bingo game, but they would also be working on some of that geography and knowing the names and locations of the states, and we support, once again, our content areas that way. Both of our programs are just a wellspring of graphic organizers for doing all sorts of thinking, for approaching a text, for responding to a text, for predicting with a text. A great deal of resources for that. Please dive in first to your program materials. If you have some questions about that, please ask me or ask another teacher who may have already discovered some. We've got a great team that can support each other, but please know we want to dip first into our program materials because we paid a boatload of money for that and we're going to wring every dollar out of it. Another thing, if you recall from our first department meeting, we did a vocab taxonomy where we listed all the words we could think of related to intensive reading. We did it individually, we did it as a group, and then we did it as a whole group. Well, this is something that also can be done with your students. You can pick whatever topic. It can be a future topic for one of the reads you're going to be doing in your reading program. It can be a current events topic. It can just be an interest topic. So vocabulary taxonomies are a way to go. All right. Oh yes, and the final strategy that you could do is have the students put their heads down on their desks, close their eyes, and reflect on how they can make this the best year ever. If they should start to snore along the way, it just indicates they're thinking deeper. I've shared our testing challenge with you and also a few possible ways to work with it. Please be generous with your suggestions. That will keep our students engaged with worthwhile and, of course, the rigorous activities while maintaining an orderly testing environment. We are 5-star teachers and we are adaptable as putty. Alrighty, I'll see you at school. And don't forget to check your email and SharePoint. All right. Good luck.